What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, Two Tree Guys Podcast. We don't have our main man, Phil Rogacki, today, but I'll be here hosting this, Jared Abergina. We got some exciting news coming in that I'm going to announce, and it's from American Knuckle Boom Arborist, aka, and I'm sitting here at the studio with Elemer Ivan with BIK Boom Tracks or BIK Hydraulics, and we're doing a podcast here to kind of give some insight about our launch, what we're doing, and more about BIK and what they have to offer, and how their company was built. It's a great story, and we got Elemer himself, the owner and founder, and we're going to sit with him and talk about how this thing all started. So
awesome,
pleasure to be here with you, and thanks for having us out from California all the way to cold Toronto.
Absolutely, I'm glad you guys are here. It's definitely a chilly one today.
Yeah. Well, we got some exciting news. So a little bit for you guys of what this launch is and what AKA is doing. AKA stands for American Knuckle Boom Arborist. So for myself, I started this company, probably only 8 months ago. And, for years and years, I've been looking and wanting to own a knuckle boom crane, and I never pulled the trigger. And I searched and came across BIK at a trade show. And obviously everybody knows who Hans is with New Jersey Crane Experts, and, seeing his cranes in action. And the more I learned about BIK as a company, and I gotten to meet Elemer at a trade show, I started to fall in love with not only the cranes but the company itself, and how they work. And so that was kind of my deciding factor to lead into acquiring a BIK knuckle boom crane. So I have the BIK 104 for now, and pretty excited about this launch for American Knuckle Boom Arborist, and the goal behind it is not just to be a crane operation service company. We really want to work and help other companies succeed. Me being in operations my whole life and running a tree care operation, I found some deficiencies in what works and what doesn't work, obviously, over time. And how could I help small businesses and even large businesses take on a lot of this work? And a lot of this is, the equipment nowadays, and especially the cranes nowadays, play a huge role in that factor. So starting a company like AKA was to be able to help these companies be more efficient and productive in their work and mechanize their operations. And I found, BIK with what you guys have to offer with all the types of equipment. And we'll get into there, what you guys have to offer and whatnot. But that was a huge factor of me of wanting to build something to help other companies. And that's where we're at here today, launching that. The company's up and running. We're supporting other companies with crane services. And, we also took on the role of being a somewhat of a dealer, I would say, or be able to provide the services of cranes, BIK cranes, out on the West Coast. So that's why we're here sitting talking with Elemer, because, everybody should know what BIK is about and what you build and how special it is. So we'll kick it off to you, Elemer, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and the company and your kind of values and what you stand for.
No, thanks, Jared. So I'm 52, 53 very soon. And just to give you a little bit of a brief history, I'll be as brief as I can on history. I could be very long-winded. So I grew up around cranes, around hydraulics since I was a young boy. I grew up in a single-family home. My father raised me since I was 5, and he took me to work a lot. I was around hydraulics, taking apart cylinders when I was 10, 11 years old. I loved mechanics. I just loved to take things apart, put them back together. And at the same time, I also love sales. 12, 13 years of age, I used to go in the back of a dealership, buy an old rusty car, fix up the body, and then sell it. Bought it for $100 and sold it for $1,000. So that was my summer job, a couple of summers. Taking some old junky cars and refurbishing them and selling. So I made some money. in my teenage years, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I go, Dad, I want to do this thing. I want to fix cranes. So that's what I did in my teen years. I opened up a service company initially. It wasn't BIK; it was a different company, and it was successful. I mean, we've fixed a lot of cranes, and being a teenager, you don't always do things the right way, and you're young and stupid, if you will. You make some foolish mistakes, and long story short, we had a big recession here in the late 80s, and we had to shut down. I got into equipment sales and car sales in late 1989, 1990. And, the opportunity came around in 1990 to start again in repairing cranes. And so that was BIK. So BIK's inception was in 1990 with a little bit of experience of the what to do's and what not to do's in business that I experienced a few years prior to that. So, and what we stand for, two things that I believe that we have as a company and since our inception is passion, passion for cranes. It's just in our blood, and all the staff that are here at BIK just are passionate about what they do. Today, we're still a family-run, owned company. I'm the sole owner. The other word I would say that's an important word is integrity, passion and integrity. Being there for the customer and following through with your commitments. We're not perfect, but over the years we've grown, and our goal and objective is to strive for excellence. I personally believe we'll never be perfect, but we can strive to be the best.
Yeah,
and learn from our mistakes.
And nobody's perfect,
No.
and meeting you and talking about values, that was one thing that really got me. Having core values, passion, integrity was huge. And that aligns a lot with what I have done with multiple businesses, and those were always major portions of our values as well. So that's great, and that's one reason why we're sitting here today.
Awesome.
So talk a little bit about, you said size of your company and what you built. Where are you today as far as?
Well, just to continue on 1990.
Okay.
So I'll just quickly give a brief synopsis. Since BIK started, we got back into the early 90s into repairs and buying and selling used cranes. We got into knuckle booms in the mid 90s in 1995. So installing used knuckle booms, new knuckle booms, and we grew. And my vision and my dream ever since that brief period that I sold cars at a dealership, the way that owner of that Toyota dealership that I worked for when I was 19 years of age, how he ran his company, how he treated his employees and his service, his parts, his support, his advertising. I'm like, man, I want to have a dealership like this one day. And, and since BIK started, that was my goal, is to have like a well-rounded dealership that just is that people want to work for and people want to buy from. And so as we grew, here today, let's accelerate to 2024, 34 years later. We're like a dealership for boom trucks. In 34 years, we've sold and installed over 3,500 units. We definitely are rear mount boom specialists. And front mount, traditionally construction industry is a biggie, into New York City construction and high-rise building or building supply, precast, foundation contractors, brick and block. This has been the foundation of industries. And obviously we'll deal with other industries such as oil field, tree care. And today we are a dealership that, you could stop, and we're a one-stop shop. So we believe that you have to have it to sell it. That's one of our philosophies. When you go to a car dealership and you see a couple of cars in stock, it doesn't make you want to go in. But if you see a lot of cars, it's like, well, there's some selection here. I can go and check it out and perhaps buy something. So that's our philosophy when it comes to boom trucks. You got to have it to sell it. We carry over $20 million of inventory in cranes. Many people don't realize that, we have a lot of knuckle booms at the ground and other knuckle booms that we built for stock in many different industries that somebody can call us, and likely we can have a truck either ready to go or put it together very quickly in a few months. As since we have the main components of a truck and the crane, what our job here is to put the two together, along with a flatbed, and customize to the customer's need, and give a furnished product, provide financing if need be, provide a trade-in value if they have something to trade in. So truly, what a car dealership would be like, that's how we sort of are in the boom truck world.
So what I love about this is, I'm sitting here at the facility right now, and I've been here a few times. And before I even pulled the trigger on acquiring a crane, one thing that really got it for me was showing up here and looking and seeing the facility itself, and it's phenomenal. So anybody that's even interested in going in a knuckle boom crane route, come out here. Come look at how everything's built and look at the shop and how it's phenomenal. It's really something that it's impressive. And the customization behind all this too is what really got me. And I mean, I kind of have a similar upbringing, as a young kid out there building, tearing stuff apart, hydraulics and building trucks and just walking in the shop. I got that feeling of, oh man, this is like a big toy store. I just want to take stuff and weld it, and some of the customization that you have brought into knuckle booms, I think was a major factor to me looking at the further growth of AKA on what are the needs in the tree care industry, because this is fairly new. How long would you say the tree care industry has kind of been a major role in knuckle booms for you?
Well, we sold. It's funny, going back even to the mid 90s, we sold maybe one or two knuckle booms a year to the tree care industry, but then they only use them just to pick up, trees with slings, never any attachments on the knuckle boom side. So, and that's been that way since the mid 90s until about 10 years ago. Time travels fast. I think it's about 8 years ago when we first started seeing the grapple saw as a viable attachment to a knuckle boom. And initially it came across, wow, this is a very big ticket item. So myself and much like our competitors, to try to make it affordable, we were starting to introduce a smaller size knuckle boom on a used chassis. You've seen some of those garbage trucks, cab overs in the show. And I remember they were like in the mid 200s. You could buy a new knuckle boom with the grapple saw. But as people started to buy them and try them, they realized, oh my God, this is very productive. I could actually save resources. I don't have to have as many people in my crew. I don't have to have a climber as much. But a grapple saw truck doesn't necessarily do 100% of all your jobs, but it can definitely do a big part, and it can be a big part of your operation. But certainly as it started growing in popularity and realization that, wow, this is a legitimate tool, and things started growing off, and then people realized, well, I need something bigger and stronger. And so now the higher ticket items are more justified because it's been now in the market since the last 8 years.
Yeah, let's talk, since we're on this topic of different trucks and cranes in the tree care market. Can we talk about maybe a few models that have been a success for companies, whether it be a crane or a grapple saw or a type of grapple saw attachment that goes on there, and kind of what fits with what? Just for people listening that don't have one, that are maybe interested in there, they would say, okay, well, that might work for me and my portion of what I do.
Absolutely. I'll start with today. Today we offered 9 different models specifically with a grapple saw attachment, and that's ranging anywhere from a 70-foot reach unit on a non-CDL truck in the $300,000 range, all the way up to a 200 metric ton unit over 170 foot of reach, well over the $1.3 million mark. So we have the 2 large ranges, so 9 different models in between, what we focus on, again, here's my if I could summarize what we've learned in the tree care industry, is that accessibility mitigates reach. If you can get closer to the job, your requirement to have a long or an extra long boom is mitigated. So if you can get in with the truck closer, you may not need to get that 130-foot reach boom. You would likely be able to get the job done with a 100-foot boom. So instead of looking at one of our most common units, which is a TC126, and what that is a 100 metric ton meter unit, you may now be able to get a TC104 like you got, Jared, because you can get into tight areas. So our units are typically front mounted, where it's where you get the best overall stability and performance of the crane, shorter truck, more equalized ground penetration of your wheels to the ground, as the biggest issue this day and age is, cracking driveways or being too heavy per axle. And so, we have models that we have boom truck, large knuckle booms and medium-sized knuckle booms that we've perfected over the years into the construction industry. So construction industry in New York City. And if you've been to New York City and Brooklyn,
oh yeah,
you know what it's like. You got some really tight laneways that really our customers in New York City from the late 90s, we were one of the first to put a 65 metric ton knuckle boom into New York City. And so we have a large customer base there. And over the years, they've pushed us and challenged us to build a shorter, more stable, and bigger and longer. I mean, that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
So we've engineered, and even through trial and error back in the day, trucks that are just that. Large knuckle booms on short chassis that are very compact, very maneuverable. And I would say that this is our niche specialty over the many years. Right. When the tree care industry all of a sudden, started getting popular with the grapple saws, that type of setup that we've already had over 25 years of building experience fit perfectly into the tree care space, because that's the same need in the tree care space. Accessibility. Right. The shorter the truck, the better, because you got pretty tight spots. I've seen some driveways, man, unless you had a pickup truck, you can't fit. Well, guess what? Your TC104 that you have today turns like a pickup truck, would you not say?
It does. It does.
So people say, well, why do you focus on the back of cab mount so much? Well, because that's where we can get you the most compact truck and mitigate, having to have that extra long reach. So now you don't have to spend as much money on the new unit. You have less weight, driving on the ground. And so, it's easier to get up and running on a smaller, medium-sized truck than a very large truck. So that's
I'm living proof. So my 104, 26 feet long, I can get that thing anywhere. And where I can't get other units, I can get that thing, in driveways, across, lawns and whatnot. So it's been a, success for myself. Obviously, it's never long enough. It's like, it's just like any crane, you get to a job and, gosh, man, I wish I had an extra 5 feet,
right.
But no matter the size, you're always going to run at that to some point, to some degree. But let's keep moving and let's talk a little bit about services or service. That's one thing that I think a lot of people ask, well, I don't want to buy a crane. Where do I get service? There's no place to service my crane, maintenance, repairs, you name it. Right. So I think, that's a huge point of people buying equipment.
Right. Well, you're here in Toronto at our head office, and this is where we assemble the majority of our trucks and have been here for over 34 years. And since 2016, we have opened locations in Boston and Bakersfield and now Daytona Beach, and we're growing. But we have been able to support all our customers from from our head office in Toronto, no matter where you're located, whether you're in Alaska, Hawaii, Texas. And historically, 80 to 90% of our equipment sales have gone to Midwest or the South. And over the many, many years, we have developed great working relationships with other independent repair facilities. So today, we can resource over 80 companies across the U.S., over 40 companies across Canada. But we're a little different in how we approach or how we would help solve a problem. If you're a BIK customer and you would be calling our head office, 1-800 line. We have what we call a 24/7 crane tech support hotline. So you can reach us after hours. There's a live person answering with a couple of techs on call. So if you're do some tree work at 8 o'clock on Saturday evening on a hot summer day and your crane gets stuck in the air, well, you can get a hold of us.
Yeah.
And you have one of our top tech guys able to walk you through. Half the time we can get you folded up and running,
Yeah.
but just by making suggestions. Other times we can at least diagnose. So the whole point is that you call our tech support first because we're the specialists. We diagnose with what's going on, and then our tech support can then decide which avenue of solution to get you up and running the quickest. And we could either resource one of our many service providers. We may have one of our own service trucks nearby. We may have one of our own roving technicians nearby. You may have your own mechanic there, and we can help guide him and overnight you whatever part you may need.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about parts, providing the support. You also need the parts.
Right.
And so our commitment with all our 9 popular models for the tree care line is to have parts availability.
Right.
And we never want to tell a customer it's going to take 2 or 3 months. In fact, I don't think that has ever happened on a part, maybe a couple of weeks at most. But if we don't have something on our shelf, we will take it off another crane if we had to. And we got a great relationship with the factory. And if it's some larger component that we need from Europe, we can send anything by air freight very quickly. So the whole point is that we our goal and focus is to reduce your downtime, to get you up and running as quickly as possible, and that's how we do it. Through our crane tech support, and then focus on the solution repair as quickly as you can.
And this is something I can contest to. Being a new knuckle boom user and owner is, it's new to me. So I've had some times where, because of user error, getting familiarized with this thing, I have little things go wrong where I need help, or I've broken something real small on there and I had to make a call and get some parts shipped out real quick, or just needed some guidance into how to manage something on the crane. And it was no more than a day or, the next day having this thing back up and running. So I can contest to that. And I think the service side of BIK has been exceptional for me in this regard. So it's been great.
That's great. No, that's great.
Yeah. There's a lot of support. You just having, from the familiarization standpoint as well. We can go into that a little bit and kind of talk about, what does BIK offer that others don't? What's different than your company? When you buy a crane, do you just get a crane and, well, best of luck to you and walk off, right? It's not like that. So I think that's special about BIK and the services that you provide when somebody buys a crane.
Well, first and foremost, when you call us, we have experienced sales staff, and we really go out of our way to try to first establish, what is your job? What do you do? Like, what is your circumstance? What truck best suits your need? What is it? A 70-foot unit? Is it an 80-foot unit? Is it a 120-foot unit? So we really try to qualify and try to identify what unit would work best for you. We just don't want to pigeonhole you into a unit that we want to sell to you as a special of the month. We're not like that. We really, this is a partnership. So we look at when you call us as this is a potential partnership. So it has to work for you. So it's in our best interest to do everything we possibly can up front to identify the right model of crane. It could always be that you purchase a unit and you discover later, man, I wish I had something longer. Many times we take trade-ins back a year later. The customer says, I need something bigger. And there have been other situations where somebody bought something too big. They said, well, I need something smaller. Yeah. We sold once a TC-170 once to somebody and realized, you know what? I think a TC-126 would suit me better. And they traded in for 126. So it's the best we can, we try to narrow in as far as what would work best, which model, what type size, what dynamic would work best for your particular operations. That's number one. Number two, obviously, we how you plan to pay for the unit. We specialize in that as well, because we have traditionally in the past, we have good financing partners that can help, get equipment financed. So we're specializing in that, and we also taking on trade-ins. If you had a bucket truck or a boom truck or a stick boom that you want to trade in, we consider those. When you take a delivery of a BIK unit, we include delivery to your doorstep and familiarization. That's standard. So that's one unique thing that I would say that sets us apart a little bit, I believe, compared to our competition, because that is included in the price. Whatever is delivery to your doorstep, and familiarization. And if you don't mind me going a little deeper about this familiarization, a lot of people say, well, where's my training? Well, training is one thing, familiarization is another. So familiarization is like somebody showing you when you buy a car at a dealership. You buy the car, you take delivery of the car, the salesman goes in and familiarizes you, shows you, okay, this is where the wiper, this is how this operates, this is how the transmission works, this is when you go on the screen, this is how you can set up your car. That's called familiarizing, right? Training is like going to local DMV and getting your driver's license, right? Writing a test, and you're accountable to somebody else. The dealership doesn't give you your driver's license, right? You just bought a car, you can't buy your driver's license. So in the same way, at a boom truck dealership like us, we ourselves don't provide directly the familiarization. We have a partnership with New Jersey crane experts. Hans Thielman from New Jersey Cranes. We have an amazing partnership in the past several years where their trained and experienced trainers come and do familiarizing of the knuckle boom. So whatever model that is. So what's included in the purchase price of your knuckle boom truck is not only delivery, but a 2 to 3 day familiarization. So when I say 2 to 3 days, you may be a very experienced knuckle boom operator, and it may only require us day and a half to 2 days to get you familiarized with the operation of our particular model. Mm-hmm. Or if you've never have operated a knuckle boom before, they take you through very in-depth detail, hands-on, familiarization. So showing you how the boom operates, best practices, circle check, how to fold and unfold the boom, practice with you how to fold and unfold the boom, how to hook up the grapple saw, how to make basic cuts. So by the time New Jersey Crane finishes with their familiarization, you're able to hop in your truck and go start cutting a tree down. And yes, you're going to have to, on your own, then gain experience. But then there's also that question of operator certificate. So now New Jersey Crane can also provide you an independent course that's OSHA mandated to get your operator certificate. Yep. Call it your driver's license of operating a boom, which is also needed.
Yes.
Quite clearly. It's like driving a truck without a license. You get pulled over. If you don't have one, well, then you're in trouble.
Yep. And I'm living proof once again to this. I took New Jersey Crane's certification course. Phenomenal. And they took it for a knuckle boom and for my stick crane. And I've been running stick cranes my whole life. Not much time with a knuckle boom, but I got a little familiarization there. And it was a great training. Got my certificate, and then moving into acquiring my first knuckle boom, getting my familiarization. Charlie with New Jersey Crane came out and spent quite a few days with me out there, and we got, I got my eyes opened. Definitely got my eyes opened, and it was the best part of acquiring a piece of equipment. I've never had this level of service ever on anything, chipper, bucket truck, other cranes. I've never had somebody come out, spend time on jobs with me and say, this is how you set it up. And when you're looking at a tree, this is where you should probably, and I've been doing tree work for a long time with cranes and thinking that, I have this in the bag. It's a piece of cake, but it's totally different, a totally different ball game. And the value that I got out of those couple days of learning the, the setup and how the crane works and just the operation, the ins and outs, the outriggers, the, folding up the boom, bringing it in, bringing it out, the approach to a tree, you're looking at a tree a little different opposed to a stick crane. We just, stick crane, just set it up somewhere and hang it over the tree and we'll pick it away. And it's very different. Right. And so I found extreme value in that process. And I find that to be very niche for BIK to be able to give that level of service to their customers.
Yes, so. No, and we're we're proud to be able to provide that, but it's we deem it to be essential. Like, again, it goes back to the high priority that we place on what we call partnership. So, in a partnership, you have to care about your partner, and so I call it the 2 C's. You got to be considerate and be willing to compromise in any relationship, whether it's friendship, marriage. I'm a philosopher when it comes to that. We have to care about what's important to you, and if I care about you and you care about my best interest, if we both care about each other's best interests, it's a great relationship. So again, in order for you to achieve maximize success, knowing how to operate the crane, as opposed to dropping off the saying, here's the keys, go figure it out. Well, I really don't want you calling us if you don't have to. I don't have to, hey, I accidentally hit this, or I accidentally hit that, or I accidentally damaged this, or I accidentally damaged that. Well, it's not good for anyone. Okay. So we want to set you up for success, and to achieve that is to get familiarized and the best you possibly can to reduce that risk of mishaps or mistakes or self-inflicted wounds.
And there's still more to that too. Additional training outside of that could be an option. Should somebody want more training, they could always reach out to New Jersey Crane and say, hey, I'd like somebody to come out and not on, obviously it's a paid service at that point directly to New Jersey Crane, but they're able to get more training in using cranes.
Absolutely.
And
again, New Jersey Crane and Hans and all his trainers that Hans has in his company come from the tree care background. So there's no other crane training or knuckle boom training or grapple saw training company that I know that can do a better job and have that tree care background. It's so imperative. You can find many crane trainers out there that are not very familiar with the tree care industry, so it's much more easier. You're 50%. It's much more better to have somebody who speaks the language of the tree care person, and so I think that's the biggest benefit I think any tree care company would have with employing a company like Hans and New Jersey Crane.
Yeah, great. Let's talk about some future developments. What's on the horizon for BIK? Is there anything new upcoming? Any new trucks that's out there, or any new booms that are going to be launching out? What's the latest and greatest?
Well, TCD 126 is still our most popular, most common. That's the 100 metric ton unit, which, you have a stick boom crane, right? And it's a cable crane. It's a long stick that extends, and you got a cable at the end. Well, one of the features on our 126 and our 170 is the fact that it has a integrated winch. So if you want to use it like a stick boom crane, you can. Besides the grapple saw, so we like to call it the Swiss Army knife. And so that's still our most common unit. But what's newest and latest and greatest, we introduced a couple of things at the Tree Care Show. First of all, we introduced our rear-mounted TC70 and TC78 on a single axle truck that in the past we weren't able to make it a non-CDL, but now we were able to figure it out and make it light enough that it's the rear-mounted CDL unit. Our back cam mounted chipper body, that's always been a non-CDL, but now we've finally got our rear-mounted unit to be a non-CDL. That's the first newest and greatest, if you will, from the past what we had at the Tree Care Show this past November. And the other is we got a brand new model that now New Jersey Crane also has taken delivery of. It's called the TC118. So that's a 70 metric ton knuckle boom, and I will call it the little brother of the TC126. And why I call it, because it's got that same integrated winch that you can now use. So integrated winch, where you can keep the winch rigged to the end of the jib, and you could fold up the boom without having to take apart the winch cable. So it's integrated that you can fold it together and then go to your next job site, unfold it, and then continue using your winch. It has an 8-sided boom profile section, just like the TC126, which it gives it much more stronger, boom sections and on the boom extensions on an 8-sided boom as opposed to a 6-sided boom.
Okay.
So really, when you look at it, it's like I said, like a smaller brother of the TC126. And again, we are able to put it on the super short 180-inch wheelbase Peterbilt or Freightliner, and so again, a truck that's as compact and tight, turning like a pickup truck, yet with some amazing reach with a grapple or dual lifts with a winch. So that's our latest and greatest. And the other thing, we're working on a few other things that will stay tuned. That will be coming in the near future. But those two are our most recent additions.
Great. So at the TCIA show, I seen a big monster grapple truck out there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Monster grapple truck.
Oh, it was a grapple truck. It was the big like storm truck.
Oh, the storm truck. Okay, that's what we got. Okay, so so we now have. Well, we're proud to announce that we now have. I guess call it our BIK debris crane series. So the debris crane, just like what a traditional debris crane would do from a Rotobag or a Circle or Prentice. So we're happy to announce that we're also now a Rotobag dealer, carrying their two popular models for either front mount or rear mount debris crane. And we also have our own Z-Boom debris crane. So it's a debris crane that folds with the grapple still attached. So especially advantages on a back cam mounted with a dumping body. When you fold up the Z-Boom with the grapple attached, you could just dump your debris without having to lift the boom out of the bin. Otherwise, you have to carry the boom in the bin, as you know. And in order to dump, you have to lift the boom out off to the side and then dump. Well, now you save or rear mounted, but at the end of the day, it's just as quick, just as compact, and actually more compact because you could fold it. But the Z-Boom has hydraulic out and down stabilizers, so now you're more stable off to the side because it extends out about 4.5 feet on each side. And you can attach a grapple saw to it. So a lot of guys are starting to do that with their debris crane, attach a grapple saw at the end of a boom that reaches 34 feet. Quick to unload your debris or load the debris and make some cuts if you want to. Right. So
I'm really excited about that. Seeing that at the show was an eye opener for sure. Yeah. And even for myself, I'm looking at that. I go, man, I could do a lot with that. I can get a lot of work done.
It's a really simple boom. Like there's no electronics or sensors. It really is a bang. I call it a bang, like a joystick, foot pedal, and top seat. Manual controls, but quick like any other debris crane from any other manufacturer.
Yeah, that's great. So let's to kind of talk a little bit about AKA and BIK here and what we're doing. Being able to service tree care companies on the West Coast, California primarily, obviously, because that's where I'm located. But being able to give them the rental service, not rental so much, but being able to go out there and remove trees for them with the crane. And then being able to be almost a dealer for the West Coast there. And, if anybody needs a demo, right, we can go out there and demo a truck for them and provide I don't want to call it familiarization, but give them an idea of what a grapple truck can do, or
absolutely
a crane truck can do.
Well, now with AKA, with your truck, you're providing an amazing service where, the biggest question, or the biggest, I guess, demonstration that we couldn't provide up until now is customers who tell us, you know what, I would love to buy a grapple saw truck, but I like to see it work in my environment. Mm-hmm. What can you do? And now AKA can offer your TC104 as a rental unit with an operator to do actual work for that prospective tree care client and see how a grapple saw truck can operate in their environment, in their own jobs, with their own staff. So, it's exciting that there's an outlet now that, through AKA that you can accomplish that. And then you could also even identify, is this going to work for me or not? And if it does, great. Well, do I need a something bigger than a 104, something smaller than a 104. So it'll answer many questions. And really, you, instead of renting a stick boom crane like you normally, like a tree care company would normally you're renting your TC 104. You're getting the job done, and at the same time seeing how this thing can work in your in their environment with an operator who's already swift and savvy and experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing too, we pride ourselves on is, all of our, operators or riggers, we're all climbers, fallers, we have the experience to do all aspects of the operation. So that definitely helps out. While with tree care companies, you go out there and we don't only just provide a crane service, if they need help in rigging a tree or felling a tree, we can get out of the truck and make a cut. We can fell a tree. We have that skill to be efficient to get that job done.
Right.
And we're not like a standard crane operator. We're sitting in their cab, be like, well, I'm not getting out of this cab because I don't know how to run a chainsaw.
Right.
So there's a ton of value added in the services that we're providing. The other option to AKA is as this thing grows, is being able to, help service and be able to add more value for BIK and have more cranes available at their, on the West Coast to be able to give more service, from the sales side and or the operation side.
Absolutely.
At the same time, we have a full lineup of I would say industry experts that can help on all aspects of the tree work.
Absolutely.
So, calling AKA, it could be a cranes, it could be, you need a team to help, work on a big project. We can fell trees for you, we can climb, we can operate your equipment. We're pro industry. We're here to help people grow and run their business to the best of their ability and be profitable. This is all, it's not nonprofit. We're in this for a reason, and to do it safely, and being able to hire industry experts to get the job done. That's our goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think this was great. We're going to wrap this up, but Elemer, it was a pleasure talking with you and learning more about the company. The one thing I could say is if anybody's interested in a BIK crane at all, give them a shout. Just come out here and check out the facility, check out the cranes. I'm telling you, it's impressive.
And if you don't have time to come out here and visit us, we'd be more than happy. Our management team, any one of us on our management team, would be very happy to give you a tour by Zoom or by FaceTime or by WhatsApp, or we can give you a factory tour. Take 15, 20 minutes, at least from your comfort of your own office, if need be. So whatever works.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Elemer.
Thank you.
Good talking with you, and everybody watching, we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Jared.